Plays very well.
Whenever you're ready, babe, we're good.
All right. Hi, Dryden.
Hi, Dave.
I know. Well, it's going to be away for a little bit because I was told to project, so I'm going to project. So I'm very happy to be back here in Dryden. And the Lion Legacy folks, it's such an honor to come back here and be behind the mass speaker. And it's really a thrill to be back here. And I know what you're saying. Who's this guy up here? Let me give you a little bit of background. I'm not some guy that just took from the Rongovian Embassy T-Bird. Right? I am a local boy. My name is Dave Jackson. I graduated in 1980. I actually enlisted in the military halfway through my senior year, right in the middle of the Iranian hostage crisis. And then I went in the military about 3 days after I graduated high school in 1980. In 1982, I married my wife, Blanche Sauter, class of 1979. And then in 1983, we had our son, Adrian Daniel Jackson. We continued on our military career, and in 1987, Adrian was born in Lakenheath, England. He does not have dual citizenship. In 1987, our daughter Kristen was born in Torrejon, Spain. We finished out our military career in Dover, Delaware, and now I'm located in, well, just north of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So here we are. So, I know what you're saying. Here it is, Dave's coming up here from Pittsburgh. He's going to talk about a sad topic. It is a sad topic. I'm not going to lie to you about that. It is a sad topic. It is something, unfortunately, we have to face a lot. And it's one of those things where it ends up being a spot on, all of a sudden, you have to deal with a topic. And I'm going to break this down a little bit. Before I forget, everybody always says, and I've been in front of a lot of crowds in my life, on stage a lot, everybody always says that try to picture your audience naked. I am not going to do that because I have cousins here. So I am not going to do that. So get that whole aspect of it. All right, so why me? Why this? I am not unique. There's nothing unique about our situation in the big scheme of things. Plenty of parents have lost plenty of kids. I know all kinds of, we've got family here that's had sudden loss of kids. I've had sudden losses. I've had coworkers. My mom lost her first and second born. Gene Fitzgibbons lost Joe and John. I mean, there's countless kids and parents that have gone through this. There's nothing really special about our situation. It's only special to me, and my wife, and my daughter. It's the only thing unique about this is it's special to us. And obviously my son's core family. And so, you know, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a psychologist, I'm not a psychiatrist. This really isn't even advice. This isn't even suggestions. This isn't a tutorial. This isn't a how-to. I'm not Pinterest. All right? It's just things that happened to me that I had to get through, what I thought needed to happen for my family, and what I thought I had to get done. And so we're going to go through that. So I have to give you some timelines. I have to put some context of things that happened. So I need to warn you ahead of time. This is important, okay? So if you've got kids, and I'll give you a warning ahead of time, there is some graphic content to this because it's relative to the story and why I had to make certain decisions, why I had to lead after loss in a certain way. There's some things I had to do. You know, as a dad and a husband and a father, because, you know, there's family involved and there's friends involved, so I had to make some command decisions. So just so you know, there is graphic content, but I will, when I get to that point, I will tell you there's graphic content. So there are different types of death. This is going to sound morbid. Please bear with me. I'm going to bring this tugboat in here. There's time death. Our grandmas, our grandpas, our moms, and our dads. And so we know there's probably a will. There's probably somebody that made plans. We know what they want after they're gone, typically. So we know once they pass, we know pretty much things are going to get done, how they're going to get done, who's going to take care of what and what not. That's a time plan. Then there's what I call the situational death, where someone is sick, has cancer, a long-term illness, and they may make it, they may not. It can go on for years, but you kind of in the back of your head there's something may happen. They may go, plans are made, usually wills are made out, there's an executor, an executrix, things get done. So there's those two types. However, the sudden loss, and especially a child, the sudden loss thing brings a completely different aspect to it. There's no plans. There's no thing in place. You didn't have time, you didn't get to it. You don't know what the person's wishes are. You don't know what to, is there going to be a burial? Is there going to be this? Is there going to be that? You just don't know what to do. You're just grabbing at the sky. You just wandering in the wind. And it's like it's like you just walk into a completely different world. So that's how I break it down. That's why sudden loss is where my focus is, and specifically about my son AJ, our son AJ. So I have to use some timelines. So I'm going to give you AJ's timeline first, and I'm going to give you Blanche's and mine timeline of that day, of the event that happened. So it was a beautiful December day, December 17th. It was 6 days after AJ's 23rd birthday. It was like 70 degrees in Delaware. Just a really unusually warm day. AJ and his fiancee and a friend decided to take a motorcycle ride to his future in-laws' house. He decided to go there. And again, beautiful day. Let's get the motorcycles out. All three were on several motorcycles. So it was about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So they head out. Again, beautiful day. All three on separate bikes are heading towards their fiance's house. But it was a beautiful, flat section of road. All Delaware's flat. But there was a really nice, flat section of road. All three were riding together. Well, my son has done wheelies hundreds of times on his motorcycle, whether I liked it or not. It is what it is. And he decided to do a wheelie. Now, what he did was, all three bikes were in line, and he decided to go ahead of them up this flat area. And he was going at an incredibly high rate of speed. Accident report says somewhere between 80 and 90 miles an hour. And he decides to do a wheelie. Okay, graphic content coming up. Okay, I'm forewarning you now, graphic content coming up. He decides to do a wheelie. When he did the wheelie, the bike came back down, and the wheel went into what's called tank slap, where it goes back and forth. The front tire can't find center. Okay? Now, we all remember when we were kids and on our bikes, and the front tire gets crazy. The front tire starts going like this. The bike did that. So, we don't know if he decided to lay the bike down or if the bike went down, but he went down to his left. When he did that, on the lane coming towards AJ was a car, four-wheel drive, and he saw AJ jump his bike. When he saw AJ go down, he tried to go around my son. He went over on the shoulder, tried to go around him. Okay? When he did that, he didn't quite make it. So when AJ fell down, he was in the oncoming lane. AJ's bike went straight down the road, and then AJ was struck. AJ was struck on the very back of the wheel well of the vehicle, of the front tire, front left driver's side tire. Just itty bitty tiny dent on that truck. Okay? Again, graphic warning coming up here. And again, I'm doing this because it provides content and reasoning for why I'm saying this stuff. When AJ was hit, okay, mind you, he was in full gear. He had his helmet on, all his armor, all his stuff was on. He was, other than the wheel, he was riding totally appropriately. When he fell, he got hit. He got hit directly in the head. Okay, graphic content. When he was hit, it decapitated my son. Okay? Now, there's a reason for why I'm saying this. And I'll circle back around. You can imagine what his fiancée saw behind him, his best friend. She saw the whole thing. So you got two people that saw the whole thing. All this happened in front of them. So, that was that. And then the whole accident investigation thing started. Now I'll give you Blanche's and mine's timeline of that day. We were in the middle of trying to sell our house, and we were preparing our house to sell. I was upstairs painting the bedroom. She was downstairs making cookies for the family. At about 3 o'clock, we heard a car come in the driveway. We think it's our son, because he knew we were doing cookies. So he comes, your car comes in the driveway. Blanche says, I think AJ's here. I go downstairs, and I go to our door that goes into our garage, and open it up. And it was AJ's really good friend who lives on the street from us, who had a friend with him. And he had a really distraught look on his face. I mean, you could tell something was really, really wrong. And I was like, his name was Jesse. I said, Jesse. And Blanche comes up next to me, and I'm not sure she'll remember this, but I remember it vividly. Blanche comes up next to me, and the first thing my wife says is AJ gone? And then all Jesse could do was nod his head. Just like this. And then, obviously, Blanche did what she did. My first instinct was to console my wife. And then Jesse just turned around and he left. So, that's how we found out. We didn't find out by the policeman. So, when Jesse left, I called the office, the police officers, and they said someone will come shortly and talk to you about it. And we didn't see a police officer until 6 o'clock that night. They had the road closed for accident investigation. So our friends came over, people came over. We called the people we thought we needed to call, and they came to our house. So that evening at 6 o'clock, I was out in the front yard, police officer, I see the police car coming down the road, and he comes in the driveway, and Blanche wasn't out there at the time. He comes in the driveway, and he gets out of the car, he shakes my hand, and he says, I said, officer, is it true? And he said, yes. The next thing he says to me was, I'll never forget this, he says, you have a very good-looking son. And I thanked him for that. Blanche came out, and he gave us general, vague descriptions of the accident. He was sitting on his motorcycle. He used the words blunt force trauma, just vague description. And then he says to me, Mr. Jackson, can I talk to you alone for a minute? Now, mind you, I don't know the circumstances of what happened to AJ at this point in time. So Blanche goes in the house, and I didn't know what the officer was, what he was getting at. So he says to me, he says, I didn't tell you what happened, Mr. Jackson. So he broke the accident down, more or less, what happened. So, he told me about what happened to AJ. And so then I had the duty of going back in to tell my wife the circumstances of AJ's death. Now, let me pause there for a second. In 1982, Blanche and I got back from our honeymoon. And we were up at her apartment at Rome Air Force Base, Griffiths Air Force Base in Rome. And I got a phone call. It was her mom. Her mom asked to speak to me directly. And it was her letting me know that as a new husband, so we just got off our honeymoon, just got back from Niagara Falls, it was my responsibility to tell my new wife, Blanche, that her dad was dead. So I had the honor and distinction, if you will, of telling my wife, who was very close to her dad, that her father passed away. Why am I saying this? Because now I had to tell her son the circumstances of her son's death. So two really crazy things, By the way, just a safety tip, don't ever give somebody incredibly bad news about somebody they really love in a kitchen. Because there's pots and pans and there's steak knives around. Just letting you know. Don't do it. Safety tip. So I had to go in and tell my wife the circumstances of AJ's death, and it went as we expected. So those are the timelines of that day. This is where the leadership loss comes together. The next day, let me back up. I have been through a lot of funerals. I've been part of a lot of preparations for a lot of funerals. My brother died in 97, my sister died in 98, my dad died in 99. My brother's son Levi, what was it, Kim? 2003, 2001? Levi?
I think 3.
Yeah, 2003-ish. So, and he was 23 as well. My son was 23 when he passed. So I knew, I know logistics about this stuff. I've done this enough. I should know. Well, the next day, I was completely blanked. I was the most unreal feeling. I was just grasping straws. I didn't know where to start, who to call. I had no freaking clue where to go. It was the most unreal thing. It was like I just dumped all information about policies and procedures and who to talk to and where to go to. I had no clue. My boss, at the time, who was a great friend of mine to this day, comes and checks on me. I was sitting in the lawn, and he says, "Dave, how you doing?" And I said, "Jack, I don't know what to do." He says, "What do you mean you don't know what to do?" I said, "Jack, I don't know what to do." He says, "Well," he says, "you need to listen to me." He says, "You have to lead your family through this. Blanche can't do it. Kristen certainly can't do it. AJ's fiancée certainly can't do it." He says, "You were a damn master sergeant in the United States Air Force. You've led people. You've been overseas. You've been through Desert Storm, Desert Shield, all this stuff." He says, "You need to lead your family through this. You got to take care of your family first." And that's when it clicked. That's when everything kind of hit me. Protect the family. Make decisions. Even if they're going to be hard, you got to make the decisions. So it clicked. Mind you, up to this point, I still hadn't cried yet. I hadn't shed a single tear. I was in zombie mode at first, but I went into mission mode once Jack talked to me. Now, why it took a Marine to tell an Air Force guy to leadership up, but it did. And so that's what had to happen. So that's when I decided I was going to cowboy up to this whole event. Okay, so now it becomes a matter of logistics and decisions. AJ didn't have a will. We really didn't know what we didn't expect this. We didn't know what to do. We didn't know where to go. I mean, you can talk to directors and all this stuff all day, but still, you just don't know what to do. But here's the deal. I'll open this up to anybody on the floor. What do funerals, weddings, bachelorette parties, bachelor parties, stuff like that all have in common? What do they all have in common? Family. That's good. But they're a production. They are a production. There's a director, there's a producer, there's a topic. They're a production. And shit has to be done. Things have to be done. And again, it doesn't have to be you that has to take the responsibility for all this stuff. It may be a cousin. It may be somebody else close to family. But somebody has to temporarily wave off the emotions to get things done, to properly honor the person that you just lost. Somebody has to take that lead. And it might be the executor of the will or the executrix of the will. It might be that person. But somebody has to do it. Or it's just going to be complete willy-nilly. Family members are going to fight. There's going to be a big pissing match. It's going to be a mess. Somebody has to step up. If somebody doesn't step up, it's just going to be a typical, funeral director does this, the cemetery director does that. You go through the motions, but boom, bada bang, everybody goes back to work and go back to school. If you want it done a certain way, and to honor your loved one a certain way, somebody's got to step up and take the lead. There was no way I could let AJ's fiancée worry about this. There's no way I could let Blanche worry about this. There's no way I could let Kristen worry about this. It wasn't going to happen that way. I knew at some point in time I would have time to grieve. I just had to take care of business at the time. People forget about the silliest stuff. To this day, I still keep my son's death certificate in my wallet. Because people think about the weirdest things. Where you go to places, hey, you got his death certificate? Oh, yeah. Of course I do. Funeral directors, cemetery directors, does he have a life insurance policy here? Is there a motorcycle insurance policy there? Is there a car insurance policy there? Death certificate, copies of death certificates, all this stuff. And it's all got to be done. Is there going to be a party? Are you going to cremate? Are you going to do a full burial? Are you going to build a pyramid? Are you going to do what they did with my brother and put him in a tackle box? Which was a great idea, by the way, by my son. Chuck is in a tackle box, which is perfect for my brother. Whether you do it huge or you do it small, a little private service, or whatever you're going to do, decisions have to be made. And even if there's a fight in the families, cousins, sisters, uncles, someone's eventually going to say, enough, 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 enough. This is how we're going to do it. This is the way the corn grows. This is how we're going to do it. So, again, there doesn't have to be one individual person. Somebody's going to have to step up. There's another aspect to this, too. You're going to see people you really don't want to talk to. But again, if you're going to step up, you have to put emotions aside of people that you don't like in life, but your son may have liked, or whoever you lost may have liked, and you got to make a command decision about, do I tolerate them or don't I? So you're going to have to get through that part of it too. And there was some tough areas in that for me to say, yeah, they can come, or they can't come. Eventually I just told them, of course they can come. I'm going to take a side note here. If this has nothing to do with leadership and loss, well, it kind of does. This is something I've learned. And I'm just putting this out there. If your loved one has $1 trillion insurance policy, you can do whatever you want. You can build a pyramid in their honor. Golden casket, hire a band, whatever you want to do. But I'm just saying, if someone has a small insurance policy, why would you want to blow the entire insurance? Unless you want to. Again, these aren't rules. Or this is I'm just saying here, these aren't rules. If someone has a small insurance policy, why blow all that stuff on stuff that you're really not going to necessarily need? And maybe some of that money should go to a grandkid or somebody else in the family that might need it, or something like that. Do you need that $100 sign-in book? Do you need somebody to direct traffic outside? Do you need to pay for somebody to be an usher? Do you need to, I'm just saying, folks, if you want to, you can delegate. I had Doug McCartney pass out stuffed animals at my mother's service. I said, Doug, I need you to do that for me. He did it. There's some stuff, don't get me wrong. Please do not get me wrong. Field directors are great. They do what they do. They're good at what they do. But they're a business. Love them to death. Brad Perkins and I go way back. And all roads lead to Brad Perkins here in Dryden. Okay? But they're a business. Love them to death. But again, if you have a small insurance policy and you think maybe somebody else, somebody graduates, if you think some money should go to somebody, maybe not buy a $400,000 something. Just saying. Just throwing it out there. That's my little side beef on that. Decision time again. Before the service, AJ died on Sunday, we had a service on a Wednesday. Before the service, I had to make the command decision to go out to the accident site. I knew I wanted to, because I'm very analytical about stuff. I want to know everything that happens. I have a big problem with not knowing even the smallest facts about the event. I'm a detail-oriented guy when it comes to this stuff. Very CSI-ish. So I asked Blanche, I said, do you want to walk to the accident site? And she originally said no. And I knew that was a bad idea. I knew that was a bad idea. In my heart, my gut, I knew she had to go out there to at least see where AJ took his last breath. So I talked her into it. I think I actually forced her into it, when I think about it. So we went off to the accident site. After I called the investigating officer and told me exactly where it was. Interestingly enough, side note, the accident site was very close to Marine Jack that told me about the step up of bleeding. It was really right down the street from his house, which I thought was truly interesting. So I took my wife out to the accident site. When we get there, it was clear where the accident site was. There was a nice scrape mark along the road where the bike pegs were, all the way to where the bike ended up. And there was an obvious mark on the road where AJ died. Firefighters can't get everything. They can't get everything off the road. Mother Nature has a way of leaving stains. This is reality, folks. Eventually it goes away, but we knew right exactly where it happened. So we started kind of putting a little bit of a timeline together of where, where the wheelie started, where he fell, where he got hit, where the bike went, where he went, all that kind of thing. So we got through that. I'm glad we made the decision to go out there. Subsequently, after we had the service, and the service went well, again, we had to make a bunch of decisions. And I had to, because of AJ's vast amount of friends, they all want to do something different. I just had to say, no, we're going to do it this way. This is the way. This is how it's going to be. We're going to do this, this, this. You can give me your input. If I can, I can. I kind of winged AJ's service. It was completely impromptu at the funeral home. But there was a lot of folks that gave me a lot of input, a lot of stuff. It was just no way I was going to do. It was just no way. No, we're not going to do a group of wheelies down the road in honor of my son. No, we're not going to do that. That's just dumb. All right? Bring all the ex-girlfriends in you want, do all that stuff you want. That's fine, but we're not going to do the dumb stuff. And I will do the entire eulogy. So I did the entire eulogy for my son, the entire service. AJ didn't have any relationship with God that I know of. As a matter of fact, the reason this decision came about was, for me to do it was, at my brother's funeral, downtown, AJ said to me, who is that guy talking about Uncle Chuck right now? And I said, he's the local pastor. He says, what does he know about Uncle Chuck? And I said, nothing. I said, Mom and Dad handed the pastor a piece of paper, and he talked about it. And then AJ said to me, so whatever happens to me, you do it, Dad. So I did it. Where I blew it. And my wife agrees with this. Where I blew this decision. And I can tell you to this day, it haunts me. When we went to the funeral home and talked to the director, all the logistics that goes with all this stuff, and talked to the director, Blanche asked the man, is AJ on site? And he said yes. And then, for some other, we got into some other topic, I don't know what it was. How we blew it was, and I tell you folks, of course, I wish nothing upon this of any of you, if it happens. We blew it by not going back wherever AJ was back there. And we blew it by not going back and at least touching the casket. Or whatever he was in. We blew it. We didn't go back and just say goodbye. I don't know if we told him. For God, it just didn't happen. To this day, that kills me. So, bad decision. Bad leadership choice. It was just one of those things that this day I can't get over with. Again, AJ didn't have any specific wishes that we knew of. I knew that he thought burials were stupid. Full casket burials were stupid. He was kind of like my dad. That's a waste of property, that type of thing. So we cremated AJ. He was put in a very, very conservative urn in Delaware. So we got through the service, got through the burial. Now we're back in life mode again. Next decision. Do I or do I not look at the accident photos? Again, I'm a very analytical guy. Up to the point where I decided to do this, every day, even when I went back to work a month later, every day I'd go out to the accident site and just sit there. It just kept going through my mind. But there was gaps. There was gaps. The police don't tell you everything. Even when I went to pick up AJ's effects, which amounted to, we have his visor came off his helmet, and we have his wallet. He eventually found his watch. He said his fiancée said his watch was on him. They didn't recover that. We actually went back and a friend found it there in the ditch, which was awesome. So So I decided to see the accident photos. Here's why. Here's why. 2 reasons. 1, internet trolls. You would not believe how vicious people are on the internet about about accidents they see in the newspaper. And all of a sudden they got to go on their computer and their tidy whities in the basement and put down all kinds of horrible speculative stuff about, oh, I bet he was high, I bet he was drunk, I bet he was doing this, I bet he was doing that, I heard this, I heard that. Then the usual adults in the room, when I say room, the computer, were doing what kind of parents did he have? You know, just horrible stuff. So I decided that I was going to learn everything about this accident so I could squash any rumors anybody ever in front of me about anything. I just wanted to make that done. Second reason I did it was I needed to know everything. It was killing me, A, that I didn't get to see, or I didn't go back there, and touch the casket, but I needed to know every aspect of this accident, every little bit. All right, graphic warning coming up. So I didn't tell Blanche I was doing this. I just decided upon myself today that I was going to do this. So I called the investigating officer. I said, hey, I want to set up an appointment to see the accident photos. He said, okay. So I went there, and he takes me to a private room with a computer, has a CD. He says, you sure you want to do this? And I said, I have to do this. Something I have to do. He said, surely you're not going to let your wife or daughter see this. I said, well, if they want to, I'm not going to tell them they can't, but that's not my primary concern right now. I can brief them on what I'm about to see. So I decided, let's do this. Again, so I wasn't in, oh my God, holy shit, I'm going to see my dead son's body mode. I was in a very analytical, again, CSI mode. He puts in the CD, he says, I'll be in the room across the hall. So I start clicking away. I open up the folder, there's just rows and rows and rows and rows and rows and rows of pictures. And I'm like, why is there so many pictures? Why is there so many pictures? So I started clicking through the pictures. And I'm not going to go into super detail, because there's really not a whole lot of detail. It's really, this is a bad choice of words, and I apologize. It was really very cut and dry. But, so I started clicking on the first picture, and it was the accident from way up the road. It was like I was coming up, it was like looking upstream at the accident. All you could see was police cars and lights and cars across the road. So you click, you're a little bit closer, you click on it again, the picture, you're a little bit closer, you click the picture, a little bit closer, click again, and it was a picture of his motorcycle. Top view of the motorcycle, and I'm thinking, wow, that motorcycle is perfectly intact. Well, it was. He fell off his bike, the bike just slid into the ditch. There was some cracked plastics. My wife still rides his motorcycle to this day. We have his motorcycle. Motorcycle was totally fine. So it was different pictures of the motorcycle, and it was pictures of the gentleman's truck. And again, I'm not kidding you. Had it been 1 second difference, we wouldn't be here today. That dent was that big on that wheel well. That big. Tiny. So it was different angles of the truck, and then the next picture I saw was a sheep. Now, for those old enough to remember when we took driver's ed, we saw that movie, Mechanized Death. Remember? The movie they showed us in driver's ed? And we're all like, was that really that? And yes, it really was that. It was to scare us into driving properly, which we didn't need. Next picture was a sheet. So then I'm preparing myself for what's coming up. Sheet, and then my son's body. Okay? Again, I wasn't freaked out. Looked at it. It's like, okay. Other than the obvious, totally fine. And there was different views. And then, as I clicked on, I kept going. It was a picture. This was the strangest picture. It was a picture looking across from where his body was, across the road, and there was a bunch of police officers and guys with notepads and things taking pictures looking down. I knew what that was. So I kept looking, and I get to the shot that I was kind of anticipating and waiting for, and it was my son's head. He was looking west, eyes wide open, in the direction he was heading. Nothing was wrong with his head. It was just not part of the body. Completely intact. Just looking like my handsome son, looking west. So I went through all the accident pictures. I saw the measurements. I saw all the documentation. I knew everything that happened from the time he lifted his wheel up to the time he was hit toward his bike. I had every bit of information I needed for my son. So I knew I could go back and squash any rumor. And I knew exactly what happened to AJ. So then I went back to the house. I told Blanche, I said, just so you know, I went and saw the accident photos today. And if you were a mother, what would be the obvious feelings? If I just described to you what had happened, what would you think would be the first thing out of your mouth as a mother? I thought this was the most amazing, beautiful thing I've ever heard. First thing my wife says to me was, with his eyes open. They were open. So now I had all the information I needed for anybody. I'm not going to lie. It's not for everybody to do something like that. It was a decision I had to make for my family, the best interest of my family. There's no way I put my wife through that, my daughter. There's no way I was going to do it to them. Unless they wanted to, of course. But there was no way. They didn't need to know that. Just a sidestep for a minute. A very close friend of mine, coworker, lost her son 2 years ago in August. Well, actually 3 years this August. He was hit by a drunk driver in Delaware. Her firstborn out of 5. Just horrible. I was on my way to my cousin's wedding in Kentucky. We're actually approaching where he was getting married in the park. I get a phone call. It's Wendy. And I looked, I'm like, Wendy? And she says, Dave, my son was killed by a drunk driver this morning. You're the first person I thought of. I don't know what to do. And after I gave her my obvious heartfelt condolences, I said, Wendy, honor your son the best way you can and lead your family through this. I said, if you can't lead your family through this, find somebody that can. I said, my guess is you're going to be a total mess. Well, it ended up that from what I could tell, her son's dad, they were divorced, her son's dad took the lead on getting things done. But she called me first because she knew what I'd been through. And to me, that's an honor. But she called me first. No, I'm not sure she called me first, but she called me very soon after. I told her, honor your son and lead your family through this. Family comes first. Whatever else you do, whatever decisions you make, bad, good, pro, con, get your family through this stuff. Then you can grieve. Then you can cry. Somebody's going to have to do it. Let's talk drugs. Again, I hadn't cried at this point. I hadn't cried at all. So after service is done, Blanche is taking time off from work, I'm taking time off from work, we decided to go see a counselor. I'm not exactly sure. Psychologist, psychiatrist, I don't remember. Very nice gentleman. He decides, after go through the whole spiel, he decides to do antidepressants. I'm like, whatever. I mean, I was like, really, now I'm at the exhausted point, I still haven't cried. I said, whatever, it's fine, whatever. He gave us antidepressants. Well, 2 weeks into this, I felt nothing. I felt zip. I didn't feel a freaking thing. I was like, why am I just going through the motions? It was the most unreal feeling. Why am I not crying yet? Why do I not feel like I just lost my son? What's going on here? It wasn't like a zombie phase. It was like something they put in me to say, you're fine. Just go on with life. Go back to work if you want. And that was unacceptable. I went off, actually both went off the medication. I said, you know what? This isn't working. Maybe it is working too good. But I should be blubbering like an idiot here at some point. I should be a mess. Went off the medication. Literally, after, 3 days of detoxing off that meds, I finally broke down. It just all of a sudden hit me. All the logistics were done, and I just I was a big tear-filled ball of mush for the next 3 days. I just finally let go. It was finally time to do that. I think the drugs, I was in mission mode, get things done, then I was in drug mode, which didn't help, and then I eventually just got off the drugs and it just finally just hit me. Everything just came all at once, which was good. I hadn't let go. Interestingly enough, I know Blanche and I talk about this a lot. I had dreams. And I had dreams of aging, which now I call visits. If you ever have a dream of a loved one that you've lost, I call those visits. It's like every time if I wake up, if I have a dream of AJ, or Chuck, or Cindy, or Dad, or Mom, it's like a visit. I wake up and think, yeah, this is the coolest thing ever. I get to see him. It's I don't know. Antidepressants made me think they didn't work for me. This is on the topic of weird. The day that AJ got killed, when I was upstairs painting, and this is plus or minus 5 minutes, like 2:15, I was painting, and all of a sudden it hit me, out of complete nowhere, just out of the blue, like a freaking bolt of lightning. You need to do family pictures. I swear this is exactly how it happened. You need to do family pictures. I ran downstairs, I told Blanche, and she will vouch for this. I said, get AJ and Kristen together. We need to do family pictures right now. Call what you want, folks. I don't know. It seems kind of weird to me. And then 45 minutes later, we found out he was dead. We've all lost somebody. Everybody who's lost somebody. Losing a child, again, I'm not different than anyone else who's lost a child. It's just unique to me and Blanche and my family. It's incapacitating. It's like your soul's been pulled out, stomped on. You know, the usual cliche things, you can't breathe, you can't move. It's all true. It's a really, the pain and despair is just, it's hard to put together. And whether by demand or default, you may be the one to have to step up and take care of this stuff, get your family through this. Right? You're just going to have to do it. When things get done, then you can do your meltdown. You can just do what you need to do up to that point. There's all kinds of cliches that go with this stuff. Cliche 1 that I hate. Time heals all. What a bunch of crap. Total BS. Time doesn't heal nothing. You just learn to adapt and adjust. That's all you do. That's all you do. That hurt is just as powerful today as it was 11 years ago. A cliche that is universally true. Tomorrow was not promised. We hear that time and time again. We've all heard it. This goes back to protecting your family. Because you don't know when you're going to have your family again. We're all going to die. Whether you believe in God, believe that we're just scatterings in the universe that bounce off each other and things just happen, whether you believe in fate, no fate, unless you're Nosferatu, or you think that the Twilight series is a freaking documentary, we're going to die. It's just the way it is. It just depends on the family behind you of how they honor you, what they're going to do. And if you don't have a will, I'm going to tell you, you really screw it up. You got to lay this stuff down. Why would you put your family through this stuff? AJ was 23. We didn't anticipate. You can't anticipate stuff like this. But you got to protect your family. Because, again, you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. You just don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. And I'll leave you with this. Whenever you get the chance, and this is kind of one of the cliches part, whenever you get the chance, I don't care if it's in real time, if it's FaceTime, if it's on a messenger, always tell them you love them. I know it's cliche, but you're gonna blow it if you don't. It's imperative. AJ and I were incredibly close. AJ and Blanche were incredibly close. We were a very tight family. When we lost Chuck, we knew Chuck was going to go. When we lost Cindy, we didn't think she was going to go, so she was kind of a sudden loss. But again, she was in that category of it might happen loss, and it did happen with Cindy. Obviously, Mom and Dad those were time losses. You just never know. You just never know. So, I don't care whether you're 18 or 105. If you didn't lay out anything for your family, somebody's going to have to step up. And you're going to take care of business if you didn't lay it out. And finally, this is a simple fact. I'm the last Jackson. I'm it. AJ's gone. Levi's gone. It's my brother's son. I'm it. So protect your family, protect your kids. Tell them you love them. And I thank you very much for coming out here tonight. It means a lot to me that you guys are here. I have a lot of family here, a lot of relatives, a few high school classmates. And who wants to go to the hotel? Anybody? Closed? We need to open that up. It's closed? No.
Yeah, they're closed for like 3 days for like renovations or something.
Oh,
That's not going to work.
Yeah.
Oh, VW. No.
That's a happening place now.
That's a happening place now? That's the place to go? All right. We can make it a happen place. Well, thank you, folks. It's great being back in Dryden. Hey, did y'all see everybody running today with a flag?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Thank you. Thank you for that.